Hey y'all, so we have a bit of an issue. My camera seems to be dying. Um, there are mixed answers on the internet on whether or not it's going to continue to charge. So we just gonna see what happens. It's currently flashing and blinking at me saying that it's dying. So I'm hopeful that we can get through this stream and reading without it dying. It's never done this before, so I'm kind of confused. Because normally when it starts, like, normally when I'm streaming, it also charges because it's plugged directly into a power source. So we're just gonna see. To be so fair, though, in the past, I've actually never had it as low of a battery life as it was when I plugged it in. So I'm warning y'all right now that we might not be able to get through the full reading if my camera just randomly abruptly dies. If that happens, my screen will obviously go black, and you probably won't be able to hear me either because I'm pretty sure that my mic is through the camera. And if that happens, we will check and see if you can still hear me, and if you can still hear me, I'll continue with it, but if you can't, we'll just have to end it there, all right? So I just want to warn y'all in advance. And as well, as always, I want to remind you guys that if you are a Prime, like an Amazon Prime member, you can subscribe through your Prime. It does have to be renewed every month, but it helps you to get the benefits from being a subscriber and not have to watch the ads. And then I also want to gently remind y'all that the advertisement is how I make money. It's how I pay my bills. So I appreciate you for watching them and being here. If you can sub, that's even better, but it's also not necessary. Anyway, we're going to be doing, I don't even know. I was pulled to a handful of decks while getting ready for today's stream. So I think I'm just going to kind of leave this as like a general. So take it however it aligns for you. This could be about your current life. This could be about the future. I don't know. Take it however it works. Thank you for the subscription, Blue Butterfly Fairy. Are you feeling better today? I am. I'm feeling better this week. So, you know, positive movement forward or whatever. All right, y'all. The only thing I didn't choose is a tarot deck. And immediately, this one. Why did I put my lighter away? Someone asked me that. Because I cleansed all the other decks already, but I did not cleanse that tarot deck. You should always cleanse your cards before use. Just a little friendly piece of advice. I hope everybody's having a good week and a good day today. It looks like somebody is moving into the building across the street from me, so perhaps some of y'all are moving. Maybe it's a moving weekend for some of you. I already did all these, but we're doing it again. What's crazy is I do not remember the last time I was pulled to this oracle deck here, okay? No idea, but we're going to be using that one today. I'm going to start with the Soul's Journey. So we're going to start with this one. All of the decks that I use 90% of the time are on my Amazon storefront if you guys are interested. I am Canadian, for those of you that are new, or am I American, so you probably wouldn't be able to purchase through my link, but you can at least get the name from that. I also am never going to pressure any of you to purchase from me because I think that's weird. So if you just want to grab the name that way, that's okay too. All right, let's start. Because I don't know how long my camera is going to last. So we're going to start with this one. Again, this is like the Soul's Journey. This just has like affirmations. So if you want to jot these affirmations down, by all means, you do you. Good morning. Anybody else like feeling their spark come back lately? Is it just me? If it's not, if you're feeling it too, welcome to the club. A baddie recognizes a baddie. Okay. So, the first one to come out is discipline. Let's put my phone. I need to get better lights, y'all. I have so much things I need for the new house that I just, like, I don't have... Oops, I turned that off. I have so much stuff I need for the new house that I don't... Like, I have a list, but, like, I really should start prioritizing certain things. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say I should start. Like, I've already prioritized a lot of it, and unfortunately, my beautiful bunny has figured out how to jailbreak because there's no top on their house. So I woke up on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning to hearing... Actually, I woke up at 7:30 because I heard weird noises. I'm going to share a story. I heard weird noises coming from, like, what I thought was inside my walls. And I was like, oh, shit, there's an animal in my wall. And then I kind of, like, I just couldn't be bothered because it was 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday. So I was like, that's future Avery's problem. So I kind of roll over and try to fall back asleep, but I can't sleep. And then I'm like in and out, you know what I mean? Like that in and out sleep. And all of a sudden I hear a really loud grating noise, like that TikTok audio being like, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's coming from underneath my bed. That's not in my walls. So then I get terrified, but I don't know what I thought was underneath there, but I was like convinced that there was like a wild animal underneath my bed. So I like turn on my bedroom light, look underneath my bed, and I see nothing. So I'm like, okay, but I still hear the noise. So I'm like, that's weird. So I get onto my bed and I kind of go over to the other side and I look underneath on the side and I scream. I don't know why, because she startled me and I met face to face with my bunny. And I was like, how the fuck did you get in here? So I come into the office, the doors to the cage are closed, and I'm like, you jumped out of your house. You literally jailbroke. So, unfortunately, that's become priority number one, is getting a new enclosure for my bun. But that's what having a bunny rabbit is. If you've been wondering, if you've been thinking about getting a bunny, don't. The other thing she's been doing lately is crawling all over my desk because I sit here all day. So obviously she's like, what's all the fuss about? This morning, my bunny peed on my chair and I had to whip out, I have like a bristle, whatever it's called, like cleaner. I had to whip that out to clean the pee off of my chair and then had to put a towel on my chair so I could still work. If you want a bunny, I just want you to bear in mind that they are chaos incarnate, as my partner calls them. They're wonderful. They're wonderful little creatures, but she obviously needed more enrichment all over the weekend because as soon as I started giving her a little bit more enrichment, she lost interest in jailbreaking and hasn't broke out of jail since. But she also, for those of you that are going to come for me, because internet people can be crazy when it comes to like bunny talk and stuff, she spends 99.9% of her time outside of her enclosure. She's only in the enclosure when I'm sleeping or not home. But yeah, super fun. Anyway, I digress. I just shared a little story about my life with y'all because why not? Should try. I've always wanted a pet fox, but I fear I could not handle that because I know they're nocturnal. And also, when I was like 25, 26, my parents live in the country, and when I was living with them, I heard at like 3 a.m, I like shot out of bed because I had the windows open, and I heard this like screaming noise, and I was like, what the fuck is that? It sounded like a woman was dying. And then come to find out that's just what a fox sounds like when it is yelling. I literally thought a woman was being tortured outside my house. And if a fox did that in my home, I would be terrified. They're so cute though. Anyway, back to the reading, everyone. I got a little sidetracked, but we have discipline as the first card out today. This is why I sidetracked, because I was talking about lights, and then I mentioned my next big financial purchase has to be a new enclosure. That is ADHD as a whole, y'all. So this one is the affirmation: I can accomplish what I set my mind to do. I love it. Thank you for sharing it with us. You're welcome. Sharing my life is scary, but I want to do that more with y'all. We have surrender. Not me saying that as I'm holding a surrender card. I can release my need to control. And then we have peace. I am a being of love, and I release all negative energy. So those are affirmations y'all can jot down. You can keep if you want to. You don't have to. I'm not your boss. All right, let's start with this one. I'm going to be so real because I never use this. I know you're going to hate me, but we have to go here. Like, I don't use this deck enough to feel comfortable to fully channel properly. I might be able to, but the guidebook's going to be next to me because sometimes in Oracle decks, you need a guidebook, okay? It is what it is. This, for those of you that are curious, is called the Wild Unknown Archetypes. My mom gave this to me for my birthday a few years ago. It's a beautiful deck. To be real, I actually only really use it on myself. I am pulled to it occasionally, but that's why we use it now. So one day, exactly. But let's see what comes through. What is for the collective from this deck? What was the big pressing communication, the word? What is that? A bird. But bird's the word. I said a bird. Now that episode of Family Guy is going to be stuck on my head in a loop. Okay, I just want 3. So at the bottom of the deck, we do have the Storm, but it would technically be in the reverse position. I love the art on these. And then we also have the Maiden. Interesting. Some of y'all are going through... They're really pulling me to the pink rose at the top of that card. I'm sorry, it's having a hard time focusing. Some of y'all are going through a bit of something about your breasts, a bit of an ascension when it comes to your maturity. Some of you are shifting from like a maiden to like a queen, if you will. There's just something about like immaturity that could be shifting, especially with the Storm being in the reverse position. It's like you're stepping into a position of power within yourself where you're recognizing how to kind of like weigh through the storm, how to kind of like get your path, if you will. Again, something about breasts. I'm also seeing something about a nipple specifically. Take that if it resonates. So we do have the Orphan in the reversed. Something about the snake, the serpent, if you will. Which just for some reason made me think of Alice in Wonderland. I don't know why, but the original, like the animated version. So then we also have, I love these cards. I love them so much. Like, they're so stunning. We have the Nectar. And then the Poet. I was a poet and I didn't even know it. Haha. Something about the, like, orb ball thing here. I don't know what that means, but they're kind of pulling me towards it, which is making me think of... I have one of these. I'm also being guided to mention, for some reason, this card right along here is giving black tourmaline. It's a good protection stone, but it's also really good for grounding. So what did I just say? Like, some of y'all are currently going through this like upgrade where you're shifting out of this emotionally immature energy or this immature position. I don't know why, but I did just hear for some of you this has to do with like your frontal lobe developing. Not to be like cheeky and funny, like legitimately your frontal lobe could be developing, and like because of that you're becoming a little bit more mature. Others of you, it may not necessarily be the case, but there's something about this Orphan being in the reverse position and the energy from these two cards at the bottom of the deck that's really giving me the vibe that part of what's shifting for this collective is like you're stepping out of this energy of abandonment. You're shifting out of this energy of feeling like you are constantly being left out in the cold, of feeling like you don't ever have anyone or anything in your life. And I feel like that mindset and that narrative came from a trauma version of you. I'm hearing the words trauma brain. Okay, so that came from a part of your brain that was traumatized, and it did keep you safe for the time that it needed to, but it's no longer it's no longer serving your purpose. And part of what's shifting for you is you're stepping into a position of, like, they're showing me a visual of, like, solid ground. So you're stepping into a position of, like, stability within yourself where you're building a foundation for you. Why can't I not find the index for this stinking deck? See, I have complained about this deck on Patreon so much because this is the one that the guidebook stresses me out. I just came to say good morning. I'll watch later. I'm in class. Good morning. Hello. See you later. Enjoy class. Okay, so this is the orphan. Page 71. I just opened up to the 1 and then I saw the lover. Some of you could be like in this position where you're starting to recognize what love looks like for you, what love is meant to feel like, what it's meant to be, if that makes sense. Perhaps this is because you've attracted a new partnership or you're becoming one with yourself. Take it however it means. But we have this in the reverse once again, which is the orphan energy. So when this is in this particular book, it's called when it's dark, when it's in the reversed. Okay. So like I would correlate that towards like your shadow. So when it's in the shadow aspect, if this would focus, that would be super nice. When it's in the shadow aspect, this correlates towards distanced hate and avoiding energy. So like there could be a part of you that tends to avoid, that tends to kind of run away or kind of look in the opposite direction. This can also correlate towards control and limiting beliefs. So there are some things that you can go deeper with the energy with this. Like I'm going to just show you guys what the book looks like. If you want to take a screenshot, you can, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be backwards. So I'm pretty sure that wouldn't help now that I said it out loud. So this says when light and then when dark, and then this says go deeper. So if you want to go deeper with the energy of the orphan in the reverse position, they actually recommend looking up I think this is a poem, but it could be a short story by Mary Oliver. It's called The Kitten. Okay. This is a wounded child. This is a wounded inner child energy. I feel like that's not shocking. This correlates towards abandonment and beggar, but when it's dark, it's more confined, is what they're saying. So Spirit wants you to kind of deep dive into yourself. Challenge the energy within you so that you can recognize that you're actually a lot more connected to the community around you than you allow yourself to see. There's something about facing isolation. I don't know why I'm hearing collective isolation. Take that however it resonates, but there's something correlating towards like recognizing that all of us have our baggage. All of us have our trauma. All of us have experienced some sort of hurt along the way of our life. And there's something about you kind of digging a little bit deeper into the fact that you're not alone in this. Like, example, look at this community here, okay? Look at the community on Twitch or the community that we have on TikTok or the community we have on Patreon. All of you are a part of a collective, right? And that part of the collective has experienced similar situations. Everybody's trauma looks different, but at the end of the day, we all experience feelings in really similar ways because we're human. That's what collective energy is. So perhaps some of you need to look a little bit deeper into the fact that you're never truly alone, because there's always someone who's going to understand you and understand what you're going through because they themselves have walked that path or they're walking it with you, but like 9 times out of 10, you don't know that because everybody are strangers to one another until you get to know someone on a deeper level. Something about paying more attention. I'm also seeing something about connecting more with nature. There could be some sort of significance to that for this group. Something about a core wound. I feel like for a lot of you, the core wound that you're facing comes from that abandonment that I touched on in the beginning, or perhaps immaturity issues, take it how it resonates. But this core wound is haunting you. And I feel like that's a part of the dilemma that Spirit's actually encouraging you to dig into. There's something about like your soul needing acknowledgement. This is about taking real time to be in the presence of your own feelings. Let the energy stir up. Let it humble you. Let it trigger you. Let it bring forward some shit that you may not want to unpack. This is about asking yourself some tougher questions. It's about poking at your core wounds and your triggers in a way that frightens you. I'm sure y'all have heard me say this before, but what makes you uncomfortable is usually what you need to do to get through it. So this says access this archetype through creative acts like drawing, painting, or writing. Keep it simple. Ask the orphan what it wants to draw and make it say. So I feel like some of you could actually literally need to say to your inner child, like, what do you want to create today? What do you want to write about? What do you want to do? And once you do that, I feel like you're going to unpack some shit that you don't even realize is underneath the surface. I did just see some of you having like a really big emotional release from this. So it's almost like as soon as you ask your little self that question, you have this like big old cry as you're creating whatever it is they guide you to. The other thing they want me to read from this book is tenderness beyond tenderness is required. Imagine holding yourself in your hands To recognize that each one of us faces fears, rejection, and isolation is to take one step towards the orphan. More kindness always. Some of y'all are being really guided towards being kinder to yourself, being kinder to the little version of you. Having compassion for you is really important. I feel like this particular collective is really critical towards themselves. You have like a really big internal criticism, and I feel like you give that love and that kindness and that compassion to everyone around you except for yourself. And part of what Spirit's actually challenging this collective to do, especially because we're moving into the Nectar card next, right? What you're being challenged to do is give that same loving, nurturing, empathetic energy to you. Whatever part of you needs it most. Maybe all of you. Specifically the inner child. Okay? Hello. Alright, so the nectar, would that be a tool or a place, do you think? I also cannot stop hearing my energy is infinite. My energy. I've been channeling that so much lately. Is infinite. My energy is infinite. I did a reading to that on TikTok recently, and it did also come through in a Patreon reading. Something about roses could be important for this collective. I'm also seeing something about sun energy. Take that however it resonates, of course. I'm going to put that song in the chat so that y'all can go back and listen to it. My energy is infinite. I did not have breakfast and I am starving. I didn't want to be late again today. Okay. Something about fairies? I don't know. They're also pulling me to how there's like a hand in this card kind of reaching out. It's kind of giving a visual of like someone reaching out to guide you, someone reaching out to support you. I'm also hearing touch you. This is not meant to be taken in a icky way. This feels very positive. This could even be a part of you. Like perhaps there's a part of you that's kind of like reaching out to touch a piece of yourself. Look at the colorful energy of this card too. I think this deck is so freaking beautiful. I wish I was more connected to it. Perhaps we're gonna be. Who knows? So this one is about medicine, like the medicine, if you will. It's about the elixir. It's about the garden. Did anyone read the Lauren Conrad books? I read them in high school, and for some reason, the elixir just made me think of that series. Surprisingly, a really good book. What the heck is it called? L.A. Candy. Came out in 2009. I really recommend it. Honestly, I own it, but you can find it at a lot of thrift shops. When I'm at like Value Village and stuff, I happen to see it floating around there. It was a really good series. I haven't read it since high school, so that was quite a while ago, but if you're interested in something that's a little bit different and outside of the box, it might be something you enjoy. Like, I read that well over 10 years ago, and I still remember that it involves some sort of an elixir. So, yeah, maybe read that. I should reread it. Anyway, back to the energy here. This can also be about the garden. Perhaps some of you are getting into gardening. I also did just hear, like, Garden of the Gate. So there could be something about, like, you know, the Garden of Eden, perhaps, for some of you. This is about glowing. This is about feeling relaxed. It's about subtle illumination. I feel like some of you are currently on a glow up. You're glowing from within and it's showing outwardly. I feel like your energy, like we've been talking about, like me, I was just channeling, like your energy is infinite and you're recognizing the power that you hold within yourself to kind of embrace who you are. I feel like there's something opening up for this collective where you're starting to recognize your infinite abilities, your infinite power, whether that's towards your healing or towards your energy. This is about seeing the goldenness within, is what they're telling me. This card can actually be known to activate subtle intellectual forces that ease the mind, body, and spirit. Something about erotic energy could be important for some of you. I have been feeling a sense of getting freaky lately for the collective. Like on the Patreon reading from yesterday, I kept channeling, I've been feeling freaky deaky. Wrong song, but I channeled that just now for a reason. On yesterday's Patreon, I kept channeling, somebody gonna match my freak. Somebody gonna match my nasty. So this collective could be aligned with that energy. I do find that a lot of you are probably on the Patreon community because, you know, I channel a lot of similar energy from it. I just heard the word lubricates, and I don't know why they said it out of nowhere, but there could be something about lubrication. Spirit wants you to, if you're feeling, this is really specific, but if you're feeling pulled to go somewhere new, if you're feeling pulled to, I don't know, like travel, like they're showing me like Rome, for example, if you're feeling pulled to like a historical land site or an archaeological land site, whatever you're being pulled to when it comes to traveling somewhere outside of your comfort zone could be significant. There could be a reason that you're being pulled to go there. Perhaps this is like going to be a spiritual experience, or it's going to be connected to your ancestral background. Take it however it resonates. And it doesn't need to be quite as extreme as like a historical place in like Italy or whatever. This could be like within your area. Maybe you have like heritage or a spiritual pull to somewhere that is in your community, or it's in your state or your province, whatever. There's just something about how this collective is being pulled to travel somewhere, and that pull is actually coming from your spiritual team. It's actually your guides kind of saying, hey, like part of the nectar that's going to kind of give you the elixir of life, if you will, is going to come from this place. Like there's something about spiritual ground that I really do feel pulled to mention this collective is being pulled towards. I'm also hearing don't underestimate your own power. If you want to go deeper with this energy, you can look up The Wind, One Brilliant Day by Antoine Machod. I did not pronounce their last name right. Spirit saying, sense the nectar within, you dripping from the crown of the head and soothing the brain. Let it drip down the spine like sweet honey. I just saw such a spicy visual in my mind. Holy moly. Some of y'all are definitely getting sensual. You're definitely getting connected with your sensuality and your body, which I feel like aligns really well with feminine energy. So a lot of you are just getting more connected to your feminine side. The nectar, the mystic, and the eternal cards are linked. I don't think we got those. Interesting. I'm also seeing something about, what the heck is it? The Karma Sutra? Something about sexuality and sexual energy is very strong today, y'all. Holy. So again, something about the little orb in the center that he's holding is kind of giving me like maybe a crystal ball. They're also showing me, you know, those lights. I don't know if you can still buy them, but they look like the moon. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? They're shaped like the moon and they kind of look the same color. There could be something about that. Others of you, there's a need to connect more with the moon. It's almost like you need to hold the moon in your hands. You need to connect more with her energy. Yes, the moon is a her. Especially those of you that have any zodiac placements connected to the moon. So this is the Poet. I'm gonna assume that's a self energy. Also, why am I seeing like Megan Fox and MGK in my mind's eye? Not together, but like separated. I don't know. I'm just seeing them, like, obviously as individual beings, but for some reason they're both coming to my consciousness. I don't know. Perhaps there's something about their dynamic that this collective likes, or perhaps there's something about their art that you guys like. Personally, 10 out of 10 recommend her poetry book, Pretty Boys Are Poison, I think it's what it's called. Such a good book. It really made me look at MGK differently, I'm going to be real. Even though she's, like, openly said it's not about him necessarily, it some of it kind of made me be like, how could that not be about him? I'm writing it in the chat. I also just love poetry. The fun fact about Avery, I love reading poetry, so it's something I rather enjoy. I think it's just so raw and real, you know? So this one, as I just said that, this is the poet. I forgot. Some of you could be feeling a pull to read poetry. Maybe you're being guided towards reading more. I'm trying to see if I have all my poetry books are in my room, but they're also showing me the Aphrodite Made Me Do It. Who is that by? I loved that one too. If any of you are feeling pulled to poetry, it's probably Aphrodite's energy, FYI. They're also showing me the stereotypical Milk and Honey, which wasn't bad. I just feel like there's better poetry out there, but I'll give that one too. I also feel like that one was one of the ones that became really trendy and, like, a little bit overhyped. Not that it was necessarily bad. Like, some of the poetry in it was beautiful and it was raw and real. Like, it was popular for a reason, but I also feel like there's a lot of wonderful other poetry out there that didn't get quite the same level of, you know, attention. Anyway, those are some poetry books I recommend if you guys want to dive a little bit deeper into poetry. So, on another topic, some of you are actually being pulled towards writing your own poetry. Something that I've always wanted to do. I've written poetry since I was in high school, and I've wanted to take all of them and, like, make a book and sell it, but I don't think anyone would buy it. And the production cost of poetry books is a lot, and, like, most of them don't really do that well. But anyway, I digress. Maybe some of you feel that similar pull. I don't know. So this is obviously about the artist, the witness, the truth teller. I'm also seeing something about a truth seeker. There could be something about seeking some sort of truth for this collective. This can also correlate towards clairvoyance, wiseness, and timeless energy. This particular collective feels deeply and immensely, and you're being guided to not be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of the ability to feel. Don't be afraid of your feelings, is literally what I'm hearing. It's okay to have intense and deep feelings. Perhaps some of you need to express those feelings. Perhaps you need to write them out. There's something about, like, the darkest corners of the world trying to see the light, trying to see the truth. Some of you are actually being guided to evaluate your relationship with creativity, what that looks like, how to create what you're creating, shift your perspective into something different. When this energy is present, it calls for deep honesty and reflection, which aligns really well with that first card, right? That orphan energy in the reversed. It's like this collective is being guided towards really doing some introspection around their wounding to see the bigger pictures within themselves, within the little version of them, within their poet side. Some of you are actually healing your inner teenager, is what they just showed me, or adolescent. This is about being in flow with the personal and universal energy of the world. Something about finding your voice and trusting that the wind will carry it is what they just said. This guidebook also says the poet's work is never finished. So if you want to go deeper with this energy, it encourages you to spend 1 hour reading poetry, then another one. Off to the sides here we have, it's likely there is a poem or a poet that was meaningful to you at a young age. Revisit and reread it now. Be open to its message. I'm thinking about the first poem that I ever fell in love with as a child. I learned it in, like, English class in junior high school. It's like that cheesy one that, you have to read. I think it was like was it a haiku? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I'll see if I can find it. But this is also, the poet is related to the shaman and the bridge. These archetypes hover in the meeting place between the everyday and the sacred life. You could make it into, I never thought of that. What is that poem? Okay, I cannot find it, but this one just popped up. It's called I Lost My Talk by Rita Joe. I lost my talk, the talk you took away, when I was a little girl at Shubenacadie School, so that's very local. You snatched it away. I speak like you, I think like you, I create like you. The scrambled ballad about my world, 2 ways I talk, both ways I say, your way is more powerful, so gently I offer my hand and ask, let me find my talk, so I can teach you about me. Whoa. I'm putting that in here. That was beautifully written. I also might be a little bit connected to that because, as y'all have probably heard me mention, I have Indigenous DNA and heritage. I haven't done a deep dive into that. I really should, but interesting. Was it a limerick, the one that I'm thinking of? It involved like roses, but I don't really remember what it was called, unfortunately. All right, we're going to move on to the tarot deck now. I'm actually hearing only 3 cards for tarot today, which does make sense. We don't want to overdo it. And you guys are now getting like 3 long form readings from me a week, sorry. And that's including if you're on the Patreon. If you're not, you're getting at least 2. This week you technically got 4 because we did 2 on Patreon. You don't want to fall into a cycle of chasing. Remember, the more you chase the answers, the further away you push them. I don't know who needed to hear that, but someone needed to hear that. I always forget that I like this deck until I see it. So we have the 5 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, and this is actually shaman energy. So some of you could be being pulled towards like a more shaman vibration. Maybe you're being pulled towards a more spiritual path in your life. Something about a sweat lodge. Something very specific for someone here. I'm also being pulled to this one underneath is the world, and it's like the infinity symbol, but it's a snake, which is cool. I'm also seeing the Jewish Star of David, so there could be something about, honestly, some of y'all, no matter what your ancestral background, you're actually being pulled to do research into your heritage, into your ancestors, into your, your history. So the first card to come out for this collective is the Queen of Swords. And in this particular deck, this is considered the Amazon. Something about Libra or Virgo energy could be important here. I'm also seeing Cancer and Aquarius. And we also have Aries and Sagittarius, if that's important for anyone. We also have the 3 of Cups. And in this particular deck, it's called the Witch. And that's Cancer energy. And then we have the 7 of Swords. And in this particular deck, it says Cannibal. Don't love that. And that's Aquarius energy. Something about Hannibal Lecter could be important. Maybe you like the TV show. Maybe you like the movie Silence of the Lambs? Question mark. That's what that was, by the way. I also just saw Helter Skelter. I read that, and I'm not going to deny that it was a challenging read. So what's intriguing to me, some of you are actually being guided towards embracing more of your witchy side, but through the energy of practical thinking. Also just saw Practical Magic in my mind's eye. Phenomenal movie. The second one's coming out in like the fall, I do believe. Something about ravens and a black cat. Some of my collective here could be recognizing how connected to the spiritual world you actually are, how connected to animals you are, how connected to nature, how connected to your witchy side you are. And I do feel like part of this is because you're starting to be, like, I'm seeing, like, more creative energy when it comes to your witchcraft. Some of you are being guided towards some sort of spell working right now. This is really specific, but if you've been trying to manifest new friends into your life, if you've been trying to manifest new people or positive experiences or celebratory energy, like the Three of Cups is just giving very friendship-oriented focused. If you've been trying to manifest that into your life, Spirit's actually gently encouraging you to do a spell for it in some way. I don't know, but they keep pulling me to this visual, on this card, how she's like kind of over a cauldron reading what looks to be like a grimoire or book of shadows of some sort. There's a bunch of spell stuff around her. There's a black candle going on the table. She looks really content and happy. There's something about like doing some sort of magical working to manifest the kind of community that you're desiring. But doing it from the position of the Queen of Swords, where you're allowing your intelligence and your unbiased judgment to kind of direct the energy forward. Because if you're not balanced when you're doing spell work, it's gonna backfire, okay? And you need to be balanced not only within your physical body, but also your emotional body. So you need to make sure that you're grounded, okay? The other side of this that I'm sensing, I'm hearing something about truth teller. So some of you are being guided towards either speaking some sort of truth, especially because that came through really strongly with the poetry aspect, or you need to accept some sort of truth. Take it however it resonates for you. I am hearing surrounding some sort of deception. This could have been a man from your past for some of you, or an old friend of yours. Take it however it resonates. Whoever this is like, I am hearing for a small group of you, has been kind of running around your community or your town, or like they're just running their mouth. This is someone who's been doing a lot of this about you, and I feel like something this collective needs to do to take back their power is speak your truth. And I'm not saying do it in like a really derogatory way. I mean, like, maybe, like, example, you're sitting there talking to someone that you both mutually know, and then one of those people go, oh, well, this person told me this about you. You correct that. You say, okay, well, did they also tell you A, B, C, D? Did they also tell you what they put me through? Did they also tell you the manipulation they delivered? Did they also tell you, just like be honest about some stuff? I feel really pulled towards that. This is really specific, but this could actually correlate to like a third party situation. So like maybe an ex of yours is dating someone new, and that someone new has like come at you in some type of way. And if that's the case, you need to be like, hey, I actually think you should look at the real problem, which is the other person. Something about this is like you taking back your power. It's you taking back control of yourself is what I'm hearing. Now, others of you might need to accept some sort of truth about the darker sides of you. Maybe you need to own some of the things that you did or said, or some of the things that weren't totally authentic. I do feel like you are going to begin to attract a new community of people, but this collective definitely needs to let go of whatever this is representing. So with the Seven of Swords being here, traditionally speaking, this is manipulation, right? And I feel like some of you are very used to attracting communities, attracting people that are trying to kind of pull the wool over your eyes, that are like sheep's in wolf clothing, if you will. And I feel like one of the things that Spirit's encouraging this collective to reflect upon is that part of that was coming from a lack of boundaries within your past self. But the other side of that is because there were elements of you that mirrored that energy. So when you start to kind of take accountability and look at your own shadow and look at yourself, it's going to be easier for you to reflect upon where this energy came from and what you need to do to shift out of it. I'm also being guided for a small portion of you. You need to do some sort of protection working surrounding manipulative energy or deception. Okay? I keep hearing that term like pulling the wool over your eyes, so take that however it resonates. Not the wolf card. Yeah, I do feel like this involves some sort of an ex. But we're going to shift gears is what I'm hearing. This says long-term. Some of you are attracting a partnership. You're attracting something long-term, something that's going to be real, and it's going to go really deep into the future because these are old hands, like older-looking hands, so it's older people holding hands. A beautiful love affair is what I just heard. But I do feel like there's a lesson that needs to be learned before this can come forward. It's almost like this collective is undergoing some sort of like training period. You're going through a teaching moment where you're kind of recognizing what is aligned with you and what isn't. And this is helping to kind of open up some new doorways. It's helping to kind of bring more energy into your life. I'm also hearing something about like new opportunities that are manifesting for you. But it's interesting because this card actually says like judgment and make it right. So this is even more confirmation that like either someone from your past wants to make something right, or like someone, I don't know how to explain this. And it's probably because there's so many of you, it's going to be different for each one of you. Some of you, this is you needing to make something right. Others of you, this is someone from the past who projected some stuff onto you. And then a smaller group of you, this could be like a past relationship. I want you to take it however it resonates for you. Yeah, there was some sort of mask here. And I feel like because that's going underneath of the education aspect, a lot of you, part of what you're kind of learning right now, part of this teaching moment is actually correlating towards the parts of you that were a little bit closed off. The parts of you that weren't showing your true self or that weren't totally authentic. You're starting to kind of unpack some truth about where you were pretending to be something that you weren't. Which is interesting because there's been such a common theme within the collective lately, as a lot of you already know, about becoming our more authentic selves, about kind of embracing who we are and how we are perceived. There is this clueless energy coming forward, which just immediately made me think of the movie, of course, but there's something that you're unaware of. I mean, it just pulled me to this energy over here. Some of you are unaware of how this person feels. You're unaware of the energy. But the more you surrender, the more you relinquish control, the more you let go and you trust what's being built, the more things will open up for you. Allow spirit to take hold is what they just said. Yeah. And then we have controlling. Very interesting. This is coming out because of that Seven of Swords as well. So this is about manipulation. It's about narcissistic behavior, domination, and gaslighting. Some of you need to unpack some truth. I did just see like a father figure as well. We also have summertime. So some of you need to unpack some sort of a trigger surrounding why you attract these types of people. People that are controlling and narcissistic and one-sided. I feel like this comes from your childhood and it likely correlates back to a father wound for a lot of you. Literally, as I said that, we have toxic. Physical, verbal abuse, feeling devalued, depleted, disrespected, and needs not being met. And that's going on top of the education and masks. So part of what this collective is currently learning through is a cycle surrounding relationships where you aren't heard, where you aren't seen, where you aren't validated. And you're currently reflecting upon that pattern and where that stems from. And this is leading you towards something really magical and beautiful. They're showing me Aladdin in my mind's eye. There's some sort of magical moment where you're going to be able to kind of recognize that you're capable of manifesting everything you desire. But in order for that to happen, you have to let go of something from your past. We also have the escape, needing space. This is what I mean. Like, I feel like you need some time to yourself. I feel like you need to reevaluate the reality of where you are and where you're going. And we also have luck. So this is a really positive energy. This is Spirit's way of saying like happiness and prosperity are ahead of you. You just need to continue to let go of whatever cycle it is that you're currently releasing. At the bottom of the deck, we do have the Fool, which is about taking a leap of faith. And then we also have reaching out, wanting to poke out. So for some of you, someone from your past is definitely about to make some sort of a move here. Perhaps this person has just learned some sort of a lesson surrounding their own shadows, surrounding their own shit. I don't know. take it how it resonates. But this person could be about to take some sort of a leap of faith to communicate with you because they want to apologize. They want to fix the damage that they caused. You don't have to accept this person back into your life if you don't want to. All right? It is ultimately your decision. I'm hearing the choice is yours. And now they're pulling me to this like Queen of Swords, Seven of Swords, Three of Cups energy. That's confirmation to me. I do feel like someone from your past is about to pop up. This could have been a more platonic kind of dynamic because of that Three of Cups. Others of you, this person put you in a third-party position. Regardless of whatever this was, there was a lot of deception in the past. There was a lot of manipulation. This person did a lot of fugazi shit, is what I'm hearing. And I feel like they're about to own it. Like, and I hate saying this, but I do feel it is genuine. I do feel like the apology coming forward is from a place of like genuine remorse, but you still don't have to accept this person back into your life if you don't want to. Like, point blank period. Spirit's encouraging this collective to do some sort of chanting. This could be through your chakra system, especially the throat chakra. There could be some blockages around that. I'm seeing something about April 28th could be important for this group. We also have connect with your ancestors. What did I say about learning more about your culture and your heritage and your background? I feel like that's important. Some of you are actually being guided towards doing your chart, or not your chart, your family tree. That's what I meant to say. Could also be your astrological chart. I don't know. We also have connecting with nature, which I feel like I said already. Spirit's encouraging this group to continue or to start writing a gratitude list. Write down 3 to 5 things a day that you're grateful for. It's going to make you feel a lot better. We also have sweet treat. I'm being pulled to the apple. I don't know why I'm hearing apple crumble. So there could be something super strong about like making some apple crumble. Some of you are going to get into making candies. And others of you are going to get into like doing something with fruit that's like sweet treat. But they're also showing me like coated in like the sugar. Do you know what I'm talking about? So it's like a crunch. I don't know. We also have clear your energy field. Spirit could be encouraging you to cleanse yourself, your space, mind, body, and soul is what I just heard. They're also encouraging you to hydrate. Such a common message for the collective energy and in personal readings lately is that this summer is going to be insanely hot. And Spirit wants to remind everyone to make sure they're staying hydrated and wearing their sunscreen over the summer months because it is only going to get more as we move forward. That is way too many. Something about sweet tea. I don't know. Drinking more sweet tea. Making a sweet tea. We also have soak in the tub. I do feel like this could be about like a spiritual practice. So like maybe doing like a self-care soak or a protection soak, a cleansing. I don't know. Making your own bath blend could be helpful. Did I not say something about fairies? This literally says look for fairies. I do like to remind my clients and stuff when that comes out that like fairies can be tricksters. So just bear that in mind. And then we also have the Make a Vision board, which was one of the cards that flew out when it all fell apart on my hands. I personally stand by this form of manifestation. Okay, everything I wanted to manifest that I used a vision board for, I achieved. So much so that like this house, I literally put the pictures on my board and I manifested it within a week. Okay? But you have to trust the process. You have to trust that it'll happen. You can't be fixated on it. And if you already have a vision board, perhaps it's time to reevaluate it, remove some stuff from it, put some new stuff on it, put it up. That's a jab at me because I haven't put mine up yet. But anyway, I hope that helps. I just picked up the ingredients to make rhubarb crisp. Ooh, yummy. I made strawberry rhubarb pie on the long weekend, so like Victoria Day weekend, and it was so scrumptious. I got all of the ingredients from like a local farmer's market. Oh my god, it was good. It was my first time making the pie too, so I was kind of nervous, but it turned out pretty good. Anyway, that's our reading for today. I hope that helps whoever it was meant for. Do we have any questions before I leave? And we made it through without my camera dying, even though it's been flashing at me the whole time, which is shocking. smell like caramel, like crisp, kind of, I don't even know, energy. Appreciate you. Have a nice day. Thank you. I appreciate you too. And I hope to go be a potato for a little bit. I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm starving. So I gotta make some, it's now lunchtime, so I have to make some lunch. Oh my god, now I want tomato soup. But I don't have tomato soup, and I don't want to make it from scratch. That's too much work. Ooh, would it be real good? I should always have soup on hand. I am Canadian. Canadian proud or whatever they say. Actually, I think it's Canada strong or something. I don't know. Thank you. Thank you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you. I hope you guys too. I'm going to hop off then since it seems like we don't have any questions. I love y'all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, everyone. I will be back on Tuesday for our next collective stream. And until then, I will see you when I see you.